People sometimes ask me what surprised me most when I became president. It wasn't the workload or, Roswell and where we keep the aliens. That I suspected.
And I speak to people about it. I've had actually meetings on it. People that are very smart and very solid have said they believe there is something out there. And, it makes sense that there could be. I've never been convinced, even despite that. I just, for some reason, it's not my thing.
So you think, one, he knows, and two, he's open to transparency on UAPs?
He certainly is very well informed on this issue. Leave it at that. I don't want to get ahead of what the president might want to reveal personally.
But I've got to ask you, there's a show that's come out. It's called The Age of Disclosure.
Yeah.
Okay, I know everyone probably, right? Everyone asks you about it?
Sure.
It's a new documentary. We had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities. It's not ours, and presidents operate on a need-to-know basis.
Yeah.
Okay, that is...
So a couple points on it. First of all, I'm not disavowing that. It was an interview that was done almost maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I was in the Senate.
Right.
So it wasn't recent. The second point I would make, I was describing the allegations that people have come forward with. I had people that came forward to us. Some of these people were Navy pilots, admirals, generals, whatever. They would come forward and say, that there were programs in the U.S. government that not even presidents were made aware of. So I was describing what people had said to me, not things that I have firsthand knowledge of in that regard. A little bit of selective editing, but it's okay because, you're trying to sell a show there. But the fundamental comments, I haven't seen it, but the clips I've seen and people have shown me are fundamentally true. And that is, there are things, we know this has been documented. There have been things that fly over the airspace, restricted airspace, be it where we're conducting military exercises or the like, and everyone in the government says they're not ours. And so what I worry most about, just me personally, is that some adversary, another country, for example, has developed some asymmetric capability for surveillance or the like that we just are not prepared for. We're looking for missiles and fighter jets, and they're coming at us with drones and balloons. Yeah. I remember, when NORAD turned on the radars and started looking for balloons, all of a sudden they spotted a bunch of balloons flying overhead, and 90% of them were innocent, things. A couple of them were Chinese. And so, but we never look for balloons because our radars aren't trained for that. So that really was the point I was trying to drive at. I can't comment on the rest of the documentary. It has, as I said, claims from people that were former admirals, naval fighters, people with high clearances in government. Some of them are pretty spectacular claims. I'm not calling these people liars. I don't have independent knowledge that what they're saying is true. Mm-hmm. The one observation I had is we had people that did very important jobs in the U.S. government who are saying these things. So we have people with very high jobs in the U.S. government that are either A, liars, B, crazy, or C, telling the truth. And two of those three options are not good. But I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't have any point of, I don't want to call them liars. I just don't have any independent way to verify everything they said.
One pretty shocking revelation is how these beings, whatever they are, have allegedly interacted and spied on nuclear and military sites. Here's a quick clip from the documentary.
We've had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities, and it's not ours.
They have both deactivated and activated nuclear weapons with both the United States and Russia.
These are otherworldly things that are performing maneuvers that haven't been seen.
The UAP activity surrounding nuclear weapons is not a historic issue. It's an ongoing issue.
And there are individual testaments from people talking about UAPs that they saw hovering over nuclear missile silos. It's terrifying.
There's been reoccurring activity over our nuclear weapons sites in this country and other countries, and over our most classified military bases all over the world. And obviously that's concerning because even if you are someone who can't wrap your head around the fact that this is non-human intelligent life and we don't know what their intentions are, the alternative is it's an adversarial nation penetrating our most secure airspace. Those are your choices.
Right, but I mean, as Rubio has said in your documentary and has said publicly as well, the Russians and the Chinese are not centuries ahead of us when it comes to this technology.
No. Secretary Rubio makes it clear in the film, as do others, that we do not know where these UAP come from.
Yeah.
but there is absolutely no reason to believe they are from the United States or another nation state.
So it's called the age of disclosure because you're basically saying we are at the very beginning now of this new age where this is accepted, no longer mocked, no longer stigmatized.
There's been a role to cover this up, you're saying, through administrations. And there have been people who have been threatened and told not to testify.
I was physically threatened even before I sent in my Intelligence Community Inspector General report under the previous administration. I actually had to go and seek legal protection that way because I was, literally in fear both professionally and in my personal life.
And when you mentioned in that testimony of recovering the pilots or remains non-human, that's something that you saw as far as the intelligence with your eyes?
Yes. And it is a very uncomfortable, even for me now, as somebody who's seen it, experienced it, even talking about it, because it's so outside a normal person's worldview to understand that there is this biological sentience that have piloted these crafts that don't necessarily look 100% like you and I.
Were there pictures? Were there?
There were. Yes, there were.
When I said from another planet or from outer space, you said we don't know where they're from. Is it interdimensional? What are we talking about?
I've talked to a lot of, I'll call graybeards on the program. That is a subject of hot debate on origin. As a guy trained in physics formally as well in my background, I leave an open mind on what the origin is. Certainly, there is the extraterrestrial hypothesis, and they could be coming from elsewhere off Earth, but I don't usually go there because I did not see that data, and I'm not conversant in the high confidence theories that the U.S. government had.
I'm not aware of any remains that the department has of any signs of extraterrestrial beings or activity or technology.
You say the U.S. government knows, but there are many other governments around the world. Do they know?
They have their own programs, and like I said 2.5 years ago, we have been in arms race with our peer competitors, namely Russia and China, and they have their own programs in this regard. And I was actually able to view a body of intelligence that discussed adversarial programs, and I'll leave it at that.
We've recovered things, you say, bodies and physical remains. Was there a sense that the motive of how they got here, what they were doing, was it peaceful, not peaceful?
We've seen a mixed bag of activity, and motive and intent, why they're visiting. That's, once again, that gets into our assessments, not necessarily, we can't quite understand the intent of some of the sentience and why they're visiting. Could it be because we have interesting genetic material on Earth? We're a Jurassic Park tourist attraction for them. Could be a myriad of reasons.
For the other people who are coming out, you say to them what? You've obviously faced intimidation. You talked about harassment. There are reports that others have too.
I say that there's hope. Certainly, Congress values whistleblower information right now, and certainly I believe there's an appetite with the administration to do the right thing on this as well. And there's some other things that are happening behind the scenes that I'll let the administration discuss when they're ready.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time, and we'll follow every element. It's fascinating.
How big are the national security implications here?
They couldn't be bigger. So this race, this secret Cold War race that our nation is in with adversarial nations to reverse engineer technology of non-human origin, the stakes are far, far greater than the atomic race. One of the interview subjects refers to it as the Manhattan Project on steroids. This technology could be used to cause significant destruction, but it could also be used to revolutionize the way we live. So there's a lot of pros and cons to this race. I think we're entering an era of unprecedented transparency and disclosure, and I think it has to happen now, as the film reveals, because the stakes couldn't be higher. We are in a very significant, high-stakes Cold War race with China and Russia, most notably China, and we know their intentions are not great.
Yeah.
And it's important that we actually win this race and lead in this new era.